Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now finally underway. Once again, the portal has opened. That's why I was like, what do I call this episode tonight? And I was like, well, I don't feel like I've done any episodes forever. So that's why I was like, well, we're calling it the returning to the portal, because it feels like forever since I've done an episode. Honestly, it's just been a hell of a journey. But just on the heels of returning from the Crossing Realms conference, I know that many of you that are in here have been in the other chats where they've been talking about it. I was on with Tex last night, and God, where was that? Where else? Oh, well, Tex and Krista talked about it on, I guess, Monday night. I was still driving home. It was a full 2-day drive getting home. I managed to crunch it mostly into day one. I drove 15 hours day one, and then I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do that. I was going to actually try to do it in one shot. I was just like, 23 hours on the road is a long time, and I really just wanted to be home. But I was able to make it 15 hours, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a little thick. Like, you can just tell that your reflexes aren't there anymore. And with all the idiots on the road, plus it's in the mountains, plus it's dark, there's no street lights whatsoever. The deer are running now, and it's kind of the rut right now. So yeah, I just was just like, well, you're right, it's not on. Thank you, Deborah. I'll get that on. Thank you. But I did meet Josh Casto. It was great to get together with him. Of course, Barbara Mora was there, and that was wonderful. And I met Amy Creel, which is really cool. She's just such amazing people. I met Mickey G. I'm just trying to think of everyone. Poncho, I met Poncho. And you know how gifted I am with names, so I know I'm forgetting a few, but I don't know. I mean, there were just so many cool people. It was a really great experience. It was just long. And by that, I mean the drive. The drive was just brutal. But I got this from Barbara Mora. I'm going to show you in just a second here. My little Squatch emblem. Barbara made this. It's going on the tree this year for sure, or it's probably going to be hanging in the studio, honestly. But these little ceramic Bigfoots with a little hook on the top that you can, put some string on and hang in different places. And then Mr. Casto, in his artistic brilliance, whipped up something cool. Hold on. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. It's not been hung yet, but Mr. Casto whipped up this baby. Look at that. Is that not cool? Where do I hold it? There we go. And it's talking about the port holders unite. So that's by our good friend, Mr. Josh Casto. Incredibly artistic vision this guy has, and very talented. So he whipped that up for me, and that's going up here in the studio somewhere. I don't know if I can get it behind me on the screen or on the backdrop here, but it'll be here where I can see it. That stuff is so cool. But yeah, that's Josh Casto, ladies and gentlemen. And he's Cryptical Crossroads is his chat handle. He's in the chat right now, so let him know what you think. But thank you to everybody that was there for making the journey. It was great to meet Paul and Tex and Rob and Krista and Brandy and Monica and Donnie and Jason and so many amazing people that I've been working with for a year or so. With Texie, it's been years. And with Rob, it's been quite a long time, too. So it was really great to meet him and just connect, in person. That was really cool. In fact, even if there wasn't a conference, it was just to get together. I probably just would have gone anyway, just because these are such amazing people to me. And we've just become fast friends. And so it's really great to close the circle on that and get a chance to meet everybody. Next person I want to meet is Mr. Dave Scott. And I just talked to Dave today. He called me a couple times. So just a great guy as well. I'm telling you, it's just, it's been a whiplash. It was great to meet Brent's wife, Anita, and son. Nice family. Oh, thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that. That's really sweet. And Barbara, it was always wonderful to see you. Of course, I've gotten to where, I count on seeing you there. It was the only one I was surprised I didn't see there was Karen Elberding, because her and Neil show up at every conference that I'm at. They are just incredible. So, but I hope to have a chance to meet you all someday. So Mickey G and her son Brandon were there, and very cool, very wonderful people. Just had a lot of fun. And we did the investigation, a bit of an investigation. It was more of a walkthrough for me. I was of the museum right there next to the conference area. And that was really neat. There's definitely some energies in that place, and nothing dark that I experienced anyway. It just felt like it's still home to some people. I mean, it's an old, I don't know what they called it. It's like an old poorhouse, but it wasn't, I don't think that's the word they use. That's the only one coming to my mind. So Ray County Museum. Yeah. Thank you, Paul. That was really neat. And had a wonderful time there. I did a lot of solo walking around in that place, and that was really fun. I really liked it. And that's not to say I don't like to investigate with people. I love to investigate, but I just knew I didn't have a lot of time because I wanted to get to sleep because I was going to start out again early in the next morning. So I wanted to see everything, and so I did. But Tex and I walked around a little bit. I walked around with Paul, and we had a good time. But, yeah, I mean, it was just a cool experience. So I just wanted to recap a little bit about that because, of course, that was a fun event, and it was really cool. But great to see you all. I, of course, miss doing these live shows a lot. It's really hard not to do them. I was going to maybe try to stream from the event, but I don't know. It was just kind of get to be a blur. I still wasn't feeling awesome for most of the trip, but I was doing a hell of a lot better. As if you listen to the last live show I did, I sounded somewhere between Tex Wesson and Darth Vader. So I think I was feeling pretty amazing in comparison, but still not 100%. So I was really running on fumes. It was a hot day too. The conference day was hot, and there was no shade to be had where I was. I was sucking vitamin D all day. I was creating a bunch of it, but anyway. Well, all I can tell you guys is it's just you and me tonight. There's nobody here to help, and that's okay. But Paul, sometime you'll have to come on and do a co-hosting with me. Chucky Danger. Chucky, you have to let me know about this Saturday. Let me know what's going on. I don't know where we're at in the schedule anymore. I'm so lost right now. Karen says, I wish we would have been there. We had a family reunion that we missed, too, in Branson at the same time. Well, you're kind of in the same neck of the woods. So, but yeah, just a great time. Of course, Vernal was great, too. And getting sick was not great. Losing Anubis was not great. But, there's good and bad. That's the way life works. You can't always, everything can't be working good. Yeah, maybe next Wednesday, Paul, if you got an opportunity, let's dial that in. Free falling. Absolutely. Tom Petty's in the chat. Amen. God bless him. He's glad he's sticking around. Tom Petty. Loss of an amazing musical talent. But anyway, we're going to do the news here in a moment. Once again, I think I mentioned it on last Saturday. It's double tough that we lost Jeff Meldrum as well. Yeah, I'm feeling much better, Jim. Good, thank you. But it was. I know we'll certainly feel the loss of Dr. Meldrum. He was somebody that I'd come to know through the years. Been at several conferences with him. I've interviewed him and talked at length with him. Just a very wonderful guy, very engaging. There's some people that have varying opinions of the guy, and I don't understand it, but I guess some people need drama and they make real, crap posts about it. But honestly, he was a great guy. I never had a bad experience with him. Very warm and engaging. He's pretty clinical. I mean, the guy was going to forget more about Bigfoot morphology than I would ever learn. But yeah, Wes did. Wes really did do a great. If you want to hear a great tribute to Dr. Meldrum, check out Sasquatch Chronicles, ladies and gentlemen. Wes did a two-part episodes, two episodes, part one and part two, just going over him, the man, Jeff Meldrum, and his contributions and what people had to say about him. Wes did an incredible job with that. So definitely listen to that. The brand new podcast for the Paranormal Portal was launched today just because I was not here to do it. And I just interviewed a gentleman, Rick McIntyre, who is a tour guide for the Lizzie Borden house. And I had a great talk with him, talking about the Lizzie Borden controversies, the trial, the experiences they have at the house still to this day. And it was a really good talk. And I whipped up that last night, got it posted at about 2 a.m. my time, which should have been wherever you are. I'm in Pacific time, so you can figure that out. But it is live, so check it out. I hope you guys enjoy it. I feel it was a really good episode. I enjoyed that one. You have to check it out. Casey Jones Astrology says. Absolutely. Hey, Brent Obake Hunter says hi. Made it his birthday today. Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, I haven't heard from Philip for a long time, but hope he's doing wonderful. Happy birthday to Mr. Obake Hunter out of Hawaii. He's a good guy. So let's get to the news, I guess, and get into the gears. I almost forgot how to do this show stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, it is time for the news. The news. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's news time here on the portal. I should probably turn on the ghost radar because I still didn't manage to do that. It is the 24th, so let me start a session. See if somebody's visiting us because, can never have too much company here in the portal. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you can, but I know that every time I just see, and Barbara was just saying, I'm really happy we're all here. I missed everybody. And that's exactly the way I feel too. It's like, these live shows are such a big part of my world. Just connecting with you guys, just doing the live shows, just talking to you and sharing thoughts, ideas, and interesting stuff, and hoping you enjoy it. So it's just not the same. Doing the jig, Paranormal Paul. I don't know if Paul's got jigs, but he sometimes wears the underwear on the outside of his pants. I'm just saying. You'll have to ask him about that. I'm not sure if Paul's still here, but he might be. Yeah, Barbara's super sweet, Karen Alberding says. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you, Justin Goodearth. There's another guy that I miss seeing. I used to see Justin at quite a few conferences, but I haven't bumped into him for a long time, but amazing guy. Over on the Rumble, we got Car Juice, we got Barbara Mora, we got Justin Goodearth, Dog Diggers over there. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Big D was the first one in the door over there. So great to see you guys over on Rumble, and any of you that are watching that aren't chatting, that's fine. You don't have to. It's wonderful. Hello to anybody that's watching on X, Facebook Live, or what else? Twitch. And then, of course, here on the YouTubes. But I guess I could say hello to who's here if you're chatting. I'm going to just do some, let's do participants. So we got Amy Creel is here. BJ Lapierre is here. Good to see you. Brandy Copeland is here. Casey Jones Astrology. Chucky Danger. Elaine Clifford. Jem Gwynn is here. Hook and Good Creations by Tina C. What is that? Jared Crazy Indian. I gotcha. Jessica Mink is here. John Stevenson. Karen Alberding. Katie Caddywhack. Mickey G. Nathan Nate is here. Paranormal Paul is still here. So he definitely heard me. What the hell is that, Falcor? Falcor from Twitch. She loves unicorns, but she calls them horny horses. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. I see you just popped in. Who else is here? I'm here. Rachel gets it right. T-Bone is here. The Unknown is here. Good to see you, Unknown. Thanks for coming in, brother. And Yeshua Reloaded 2 is here. So I think that's everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm just looking quick again. That looks like the active chatters for now. Generally, people come in and go out all the way through the shows. And honestly, there's always about 15 different shows that everybody watches on at the same time. So we get a lot of in and out traffic, and that's okay. But I try to keep it interesting all the way through for you. Good evening to you, Mr. Jason Finch. Great to see you, brother. All right. Yeah, if I didn't say hello to you, just say hi in the chat. Then I know you were here. T-Bone's in the house. Good to see you. All right. I'm sorry. Adventures with Beth just popped in. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. In and out at the moment, Mr. Josh says, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Appreciate the disclosure. Now, if I see your desk is empty, I won't get upset. All right, this is the news, ladies and gentlemen, the Paranormal Portal News, where we go through different articles and stories and such that deal with the maybe just entertaining, maybe fascinating, maybe humorous, maybe paranormal. And I try to put a good mix of everything in there. Whenever I come up with the paranormal stories, of course, they get preference. But we utilize a site that's an amazing site and a lot of amazing sites throughout the course of the shows. And I can only ask you guys, please, to support these sites because these sites are absolutely incredible. And I don't know how else to say it, but like unexplained-mysteries.com is one of the key sites I use for the news, if not the key site. And the reason I use it is because it's so well done. That site is so well done and maintained. I've never found a better site that covers all of the weirdness and other news stories. It's not just strange, unusual things. Sometimes there's very relevant technical stories. There's a whole bunch of different categories to check out, so please check it out. And check out all the sites that we use. These sites need your love, and your traffic does keep the lights on for them. So definitely visit all these sites, support them when you're not watching the shows, and give them your love. So, all right, we're going to get to the news stories coming up now. If I can open the browser that actually has them. Oh, why is that still open? Okay, never mind. Had to close one thing. I had to do a quick install as I launched the show, so some of it was still open, so I had to close that down. But we are going to start out the show with the news, and in the news, we use, again, unexplained-mysteries.com, and they are bringing us a story, again, about Avi Loeb. Now, Avi Loeb is one of those pivotal characters that I think he's kind of like the UFO version of Jeff Meldrum. He's a professor at Harvard University. But he's all in on the idea that we're being visited and perhaps there's intelligently controlled things even heading towards us right now with the old Atlas I anomaly that seems to be coming towards us and exhibiting all kinds of strange characteristics that don't fit the meteor / natural object kind of model. Now, is it or not? We don't know. And there's a lot of speculation both ways. We just don't know. But I'm hoping some kind of mothership just pulls up. I think that's cool. I mean, I've seen a UFO, so I mean, I know they're already here, but it'll be interesting to see what this Atlas I object is. And he's been the driving force on the conversation about how it might not be a natural object. And he's been involved in a lot of other ones. He kind of made a name for himself with the Oumuamua object that came through our solar system and exhibited all kinds of strange aeronautics, for lack of a better term, trajectories that wouldn't have happened naturally. And he implied it might not be absolutely natural. It might be intelligently controlled. So again, time will tell. Oh, good. Thank you, Jason. Jason just said, I listened to the Lizzie Borden house story. That was interesting. Yeah, it really was. It really was. What did Chucky say? Pumpkin pie is life itself. Oh, Chucky, we're going to get you out of the house more. We're going to come back someday, and Chucky's going to be like 3.5 bills and not getting out of his house much. Because pie is life. I'm just kidding, brother. I love a good pie, too. Actually, banana cream pie is my jam, personally. But anyway, pumpkin's good. All right, Avi Loeb rules out terrestrial origin of tektites in alien spherules. Now, you may not, or you may know that Avi Loeb was doing a big survey of the Pacific Ocean, looking for objects that might be on the seafloor that might be of extraterrestrial origin. And he found these spherules. And there was a bunch of controversy. He was implying, look, this isn't a natural object. These don't make sense. They are perhaps intelligently created. So let's see what this article says, because I haven't heard anything talking about this for quite a while. And it's not too long, so we'll get right through this. Spherules thought to be fragments from an interstellar meteor have been subjected to new research and analysis. Back in June of 2023, Harvard astronomer Professor Avi Loeb, who'd been in on an expedition to search for pieces of potentially artificially constructed interstellar object that fell somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean, published the blog article describing the discovery of mysterious metal spherules, with a composition he claimed to be anomalous when compared to human-made alloys. So apparently the composition doesn't match our compositions, if that makes sense. It sounded more impressive in my head than actually when I said it. I'm like, yeah, it sounded stupid. All right, let's see what it says. At the time, his claims were universally panned by scientists who ultimately concluded that what he had found was likely to be little more than, as University of Chicago physicist Patricio A. Gallardo described it, coal fly ash, a waste product of the combustion of coal in power plants and steam engines. Now, though, additional research has served to counteract one of the most frequently cited skeptical arguments concerning his claim that the spherules are from an interstellar object. The work focused on tektites, glass-like rocks, formed during a large meteor impact. And up until now, it was argued that tektites found within the spherules were actually from pre-existing common materials strewn around the ocean floor. Following new research, however, Loeb and his team determined that the existing tektites in the region were very different from the ones found in the spherules. It is relatively easy to come up with a speculative hypothesis regarding the origin of the Belau spherules, Loeb wrote, but our detailed analysis argues that speculations associating the Belau spheres with common terrestrial materials are unsubstantiated. So while this research certainly doesn't confirm that the spherules are from an interstellar object or that such an object was artificially constructed, it does help to keep such a possibility in contention. Well, I gotta love this guy. I love the fact that he's putting it out there. I'm sure he must have made tenure, because this would be career suicide otherwise. But God bless him. He's putting himself out there, and he's not afraid to ask the questions. And I think that's the great thing. I know politically speaking, there's kind of a universal mandate on, both sides of the aisle that you should think like we think, and I think people can think what they want. But I do appreciate the fact that he's not afraid to ask the questions. He's putting the questions out there. Look, this doesn't make sense, and this is why. So I think that's awesome. Thank you, Aussie Boss Tiger. Remembered 14 months, Aussie. Gotta love you, brother. Thank you so much. All right, so interesting stuff. I don't know what you guys think, but definitely look into this. This is another aspect of his research. And again, this is like the Jeff Meldrum of the UFO world. And you got to appreciate that. He's coming at it from a very academic level, but it's not without merit. And I appreciate that he's willing to look in these corners, because these corners are often overlooked by all established sciences, at least publicly. Who knows what they're doing privately, but publicly, it's nothing to see here, folks. Move along. And that's definitely not the case. There's plenty to see here. So that's the first article. Let's get to the next one, because there's more. There's always more. Sorry, I had to sniffle. The next one up is, I don't know why this would have happened, but this one's not real long, but it's kind of a tragedy. Maybe it was really outdated. Maybe it was really old. I don't know. There's probably a lot to this story we don't understand, but hopefully the article explains some of it. But from unexplained-mysteries.com comes our second article in the news tonight. Ukraine destroys Crimean radio telescope that once was used to contact aliens. Wow. I didn't know we had contact. That's not where the wow signal came from, is it? Let's see what it says. The famous radio telescope was once part of efforts to send messages to extraterrestrial civilizations. Situated in Crimea, Yevpatoria, RT-70, a large radio telescope in the Center for Deep Space Communications, was capable of picking up and sending deep space signals thanks to its enormous 70-meter wide dish. Oh, those things must be impressive to see in person. That's incredible. One of only 2 radio telescopes in the world capable of sending messages into deep space, it played a major role in multiple efforts to contact advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. It also was used during the Cold War to communicate with space probes sent to Venus and Mars. Sadly, however, after Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, its purpose was changed from one of peace to one of war, with the facility being altered to support Russia's GLONASS satellite navigation system. After Russia invaded Ukraine, the telescope was used to support military communications, making it a liability for Ukraine and a prime candidate for a targeted attack. To this end, it was reported earlier this month that it's been blown to pieces by Ukrainian drones. Its loss marks a sad end to its legacy of peaceful study and exploration of the cosmos, and once again brings into sharp focus the toll of Russia's ongoing and senseless war. One thing's for sure, Yevpatoria RT-70 wasn't the first casualty, and it surely won't be the last. Well, there you go. Yeah, annexed, stolen, sure. Yeah, I hear you, T-Bone. I don't pretend to understand any of that, what's going on over there, but it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. It's certainly not a good look. But, all right, that's the second. Let's get to the third. This one looks kind of creepy, but I don't know, interesting and creepy. Here's the thing, obviously there's like Tesla bots and there's other companies making human-like robots to, live with people, maybe help out. I just want one that'll drag a vacuum and dust. That'd be great. But, there's been some pretty incredible advances. Now, the thing is, I don't want the robots in my house to look like a person. I think that would be a little creepy. That'd be a lot creepy, actually, to me. I'm saying make them C-3PO, R2-D2, make them look like something else. But there seems to be a real push to make these things look very, very human, and in many cases, almost indistinguishable as the technology improves. And I don't know how you feel about that, but like, I want a droid, not an android necessarily. Unless maybe if it looked like Data from Star Trek, that'd be all right. But I don't know. But here it is. This is the next article. I don't know how you feel about this, but let's take a look. Unexplained-mysteries.com. This new super realistic robot face is straight out of Westworld. And that's an old movie dealing with animatronic characters that were actually murderous. So look at that face, though. Do you need your robot to look like that? It looks like some Chad that's, cleaning your pool. It's like, really? Why? Oh, Casey Jones Astrology, God bless you. Became a member, is now a Portal peep. God bless you. Thank you so much. So yeah, there's a realistic face. Let's see what it says. A firm in China has developed human-like faces for robots that are eerily realistic and capable of expressing emotions. Okay, but they're capable of expressing them, meaning that they can mimic, but let's maybe not go for the feeling of emotions. I'm just saying. A future dominated by lifelike humanoid robots has taken one step closer to reality this week following the release of a new video showcasing a state-of-the-art robot face. Developed by the Chinese firm Headform, the face is able to express subtle emotions and looks so realistic that it's almost good enough to fool someone into thinking that it's a real person. It's not difficult to imagine future humanoid robots using this type of facial technology. The only head version of a Headform, Origin M1, is a face robot designed for research, interaction, and high-end display scenarios. It integrates a full facial actuation system with up to 25 micromotors enable lifelike expressions, blinking, and eye movements, the firm wrote. Embedded RGB cameras inside the pupils provide visual perception, while built-in microphones and speakers support real-time audio interaction. Compact yet powerful, the head module can be mounted on various bases or integrated into larger robotic systems, making it an ideal platform for emotion-driven AI studies, human-robot interaction research, and character-based installations. You can check out a clip of the face in action below, and this is coming from a Headform, the company themselves, which has all of 545 subscribers. My God. They need some subs, but let's take a look at the video. I don't know what we're looking at here, but this will probably be extra creepy. Here it comes. I'm going to kill the noise, but let's just watch the face. Oh, yeah, that's creepy as hell. What the hell? Wow. That is kind of creepy, right? What do you guys think? Is this a good thing or is this really creepy? Am I wrong in this? What is your take? Is a face robot good? I mean, I suppose, for those people that would rather be intimate with something that's not a person, probably from some bad dating choices. Maybe if it looks more real, that's a better thing, but look at that. Ooh. That looks pretty good. My God. I mean, it looks like that could be a person sitting next to you on the bus, right? Ugh. Well, there you go. I don't know. What do you think? You saw it here. Maybe you never saw that before. But now you've seen it. That is kind of creepy, kind of cool, but kind of creepy. I don't know. I just think it's a little twisted, personally. I don't know. What are you guys saying about this? Like I said, well, some people would want robots for partners, if you know what I mean. Like the one movie they have out, creepy, but some people are creepy. Yeah, I mean, hell, a lot of people are creepy, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. Not for me. I like real natural things, Karma Liu says. Yeah, fair enough. Josh says, I'm good. No, thank you. Fair enough. RU says, hey. Hey to you, RU. Good to see you. I'll send Beth a robot version of me. Jeez. Oh, you sure she wants one? I don't, no offense. I don't know what you look like, Andrew. Oh, for no. Yeah, it's a zero for no. Yeah, I think it's fascinating, but it's also kind of creepy because, what if they do go full Terminator? It'll be like smiling as it jams a spike into your forehead. It's like, oh, it's so sweet. Well, I'll have nightmares now. Thanks, Brent. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is the future, folks. I don't know. It's weird to see a head just hovering there. It looks like it could be on a body, but it's just on a peg. That's a little strange. At least they built a robot that doesn't nag or anything. I'm sure you could get that upgrade, Andrew. Could I get one that really yells at me all the time? I don't know. I'm just saying. It's the future. But I think it's, one of those situations where maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe for somebody that's like, let's say they develop these robots to like care for dementia patients or things like that, and maybe having a human visage that looks pleasant and is very patient and there for them. Maybe that would be really good. Maybe that would be a good application of it. Because, who wants to look at a Terminator face, as it's bringing you soup or something? I think if it came with a smile, like, oh, here's your soup. Okay, well, let's have soup. I don't know. Does that even make sense? But, so maybe if they need to have a compassionate visage, that's a good thing. But it is kind of creepy. I'm just not ready to look at that yet. But I am impressed. I actually am impressed because that looks like a person coming out of a peg, which is creepy. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the news tonight, folks. Let's get back to the rest of the show. Whatever that means. I don't even know right now because I'm really rusty at all of this, but let's go do it. It's just kind of cool to do news that probably you never heard anywhere else. That's why I love that site, unexplained-mysteries.com. It's like, man, you can find so many cool articles about so many cool things and great discussion points. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting world we're living in, folks. It's living rent-free in my head. All right, I got to see what I got going on here. I don't even know what I got going on here right now. I got a ton of... I have a ton of, what the hell is this? Oh, that was the one. Okay. Yeah, I'm way out of my comfort zone here. I forgot what I was going to say. I have something, but I forgot. I forgot to do this. So let me just look for something here quick. Oh, maybe this will be good. It's from 2019. Everybody loves a good ghost story, right? Come on. I love good ghost stories. I just hope we haven't read them. Let me just look quick. No. So this is the part that I forget. So, like I literally, when I come back to doing shows after any kind of hiatus, it's like this flow that I get into when I do the shows regularly. It's just boom, 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 and I'm ready. Milk. It's a milk run, I guess. I don't know what milk means, but the what? You guys hear the Roy Stubblefield's werewolf story? I don't think so. Casey. I'd be interested to hear it though. Oh, you missed the robot thing. It's just a robot face on a peg, basically, but it was very well articulated, Karen. So it looks like a person making, gestures like, I don't know. Maybe they should make a Brent Thomas face. Maybe they should make a Brent Thomas robot, and then it could do the shows and help me and be a co-host with me every time. which one would be the better host. I think I know which one would be the better host, and unfortunately it's not the fleshy one. But anyway, milk if it comes with cookies. Yeah, it didn't say cookies. It just said milk. I don't know what that means. Okay, we'll try this article. I don't know that this is one we've read before. I'm hoping not, but it might be. Let me see if there's another one here that might be a little earlier. Just take a look. Did you guys hear about that guy that was just, I think it was in Oklahoma. He was a tiger guy, and he apparently had some connection to the Tiger King in some way, but as I understand it, he was, and this is hearsay at the best of case, but this guy was doing shows with tigers and stuff, but he was just killed by his tiger, and it's pretty sad, really. I don't understand. Oh, this sounds pretty cool. Let's do this one. This one looks pretty cool. But I mean, you will never tame a tiger. You will never tame it. It will never be like a golden lab or like a regular house cat or something. These are animals that probably have hundreds of thousands of years of instinct wound up into them. And they hadn't been habituated and domesticated over thousands of years like our dogs and cats have that we, bring into our homes. So these are incredibly dangerous animals. And I think it probably gets to be where you feel like, oh, I know this animal. I know exactly, how to handle it no matter the situation. But if you're wrong once, you're done. You're done. I mean, if you have a 400-pound tiger that has razor sharp claws, huge teeth, and it can open its mouth wider than your skull and could crush your skull, there's no recourse. There's no physical recourse to that. You just got to be wrong once, and by thinking this animal so well. So I don't know. What is Chucky saying? He was mauled mid-show and bit on the neck, thrashed around and pronounced dead on the scene when first responders arrived. My God, could you imagine being in that audience and seeing that? I mean, that you were there watching this man just be unalived by this huge creature. And you can't really blame the tigers. They are conditioned. They're apex predators. They're not meant to be, fluffy show kittens, I don't know. Hi, Jess Mink. I thought you were already here. Jess came in. She just does all kinds of re-entries. That's okay. It's good to have you back. I thought you were already here, though. All right. This article is going to be one from Thought Catalog, another amazing site. Again, I've loved Thought Catalog for years, mostly because of these articles that they do that deal with paranormal stories. And they're usually Reddit scrape stories. Where people will answer a question, and then the article author will grab their responses and put together these articles. But I love these articles. And there's not a lot of insight on these events, just basically, this one time this happened, the end. So there's not an opportunity to really dive into it or look into it, but it's fascinating still. I still love these articles. So we're going to get into one, and this one is from Thought Catalog, as I said. It's not time for this yet. Not time for that, but this one is 11 paranormal investigators reveal their most bone-chilling experiences with the other side. Let me just, how do I frame this best? I think I'm going to have to put my head up higher. I think I'm going to have to put me on the top. That's what I'm going to do. Let's do this. Get me out of the way. I'll be up here. I'll be up here in Overwatch. I'll be in Overwatch. Like the Brady Bunch, the squares. I don't know. It's funny in my head. I remember the Siegfried and Roy show back in Vegas in '93. Yeah, I mean, it is spectacular, but I mean, God, they're just dangerous. I mean, these are just animals that are largely unpredictable. I think you can probably get pretty good around them, And I'm not implying that these people are absolutely insane to do this, but I think when you're snapping a whip and making a tiger jump through hoops and stuff, you're probably begging for it. That's just that's not a natural behavior. So, Brent, you are the overlord of the Paranormal Portal. We bow to you. You guys are in trouble if you're following me for your overlord. I'm just saying. I wouldn't put me in charge of a bake sale. I'm just saying. Here we go. 11 paranormal investigators reveal their most bone-chilling experiences with the other side. Whether you're a skeptic or a surefire believer in the paranormal, we can all admit that there's a lot of mystery surrounding the afterlife. This is by Stephanie Shaner. It was last updated 4 years ago. I think it said it was from 2019, but it was last updated in 2021, April 18th of 2021. But the beauty of this kind of material is that it's not like a seasonal thing. I mean, sure, it's probably more common to find this stuff around Halloween, but honestly, these stories will be just as good as if they were, 2 days old. All right, so let's get to number one. One of my most memorable and bone-chilling experiences was actually about 4 years ago at the Beauvoir Confederate Cemetery in Biloxi, Mississippi. It was myself and a few other investigators. It was January, so it was really quite cold out. Well, as we approached the cemetery, the K2 meter was going all the way to red. But we couldn't attribute it to anything as there were no power lines or anything electric that could have been given off EMF, electromotive force. Wow, this person actually did it right. A lot of people think it's EMF is electromagnetic frequency, but it is electromotive force. That's true. It's two very different things. An electromagnetic field is EM field, not EMF. Giving off EMF nearby since we were in this cemetery. We kept walking and I turned the spirit box on and I asked, is there anyone here with us right now? I immediately heard a deep, eerie voice come through the spirit box that say, humans. God, that's horrifying. I knew at that moment that whoever or whatever that voice was coming through was not human. It sent chills through my body and I immediately asked, are you not human? But I received no response. And I didn't hear that voice come through again. And to this day, I don't know who or what I was speaking with. My feeling is that it may have been extraterrestrial, but I may never come across something like that again. And I still think about it every time I investigate. That was from Mackenzie Concher Cassiano, co-founder of XX Paranormal in Colorado. That's really cool. Is it possible? Sure. I don't see, and in fact, the bleed through between extraterrestrial encounters and ghost encounters is strikingly similar. Those two phenomena are strikingly similar in what people experience. And so is it far-fetched to say, well, I experienced aliens or I experienced ghosts? No, because do you really know? And when you see some of the apparitions that are captured, they don't look like they were ever human. I mean, they don't. Some of them look like they're kind of like thin. They almost look like pale crawlers. They're like those emaciated, looking like they're naked, pale, hairless bodies that seem to move with like light speed. It's just incredible. But they don't look like they were ever human. So could they be extraterrestrial or some other form of life that was never human? And it's like, yeah, they could. We just don't know. So that's pretty interesting. All right. That's a good one. Number two, the second story here. And this is how many? 11. So we'll get through what we can get through. It's already almost 8. Man, time's flying when you're having a portal. All right. Number 2, the experience that reminds me as more creepy was in Mississippi at the Jefferson Davis estate. We were in the Confederate graveyard and out of nowhere, I started coughing, and I know this sounds weird, it wasn't me coughing. And that's what I said. It felt like someone else was coming through me. When we got back to the little cabin we were staying in, Jocelyn, the medium who was with us, but who had not been in the graveyard, woke up and said, "Where's Christine?" I looked at her and she said, "There's a woman from the graveyard who attached her energy to you. She wants to tell you something about her health. She has a message for you. We went back to the graveyard in daylight the next day, and in the area I was standing in, there was only one female grave marker, and the name being Laura. Over the course of the weekend, I would ask if Laura was with us and consistently got responses. I reminded her several times that she could talk to me there, but was not able to come home with me. Over the next couple of weeks at home, I would get the same random cough, and I would tell Laura she needed to go back home. It finally stopped after about a month. That was Christine Thiessen Hendrickson, again from Colorado. Very cool. That's really creepy. Yay, Brent, and Wheelie and Weed Wednesday. Okay. All right. Get your mind out of the dime bag. Oh, thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. Wife liked your sales pitch. She'll be ordering 3. Oh, that's awesome, Keith. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Keith was at the conference, he and his wife, and his wife looked at, my wife made these little stuffed, they were pumpkin heads and ghosts that were crocheted and stuffed and stuff. She did a beautiful job with them. Well, the backstory on that is Keith's wife was thinking of getting one, but then didn't, and then she got home and went, I should have got that, and Keith reached out to me, and so I told her, we don't have them anymore. The ghost one's all sold out, but yes, I told him we could sure have one made for him. And so that's cool. Thank you. She liked the sales pitch. Very cool. You know, you want to know what that's the proceeds of that are going for? Keith and anyone else that might be interested is she's making these Halloween ornaments basically, and they're beautiful little. She's incredibly talented, but it's for the minion. He really wants to save up for a 3D printer, so he gets an allowance, and he's been saving his money. And so we're doing this as well as a way to help get him a 3D printer so he can make things. So that's the purpose of those sales. So it does go for a good cause. You're helping a young mind explore his imagination through creation and stuff. I mean, this kid's like a Lego genius. The kid will get like a 1,500 piece Lego kit of like R2-D2 and have it built in like 3 hours. It's like, what are you? How can you do it so fast? I don't know. He's just really good. So he wants to get a 3D printer. So that's where the proceeds from those little pumpkins and ghost heads are going. All right. Just so you know. Thank you though, Keith. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's really cool. So she needed to go back home, and it finally stopped after about a month. Yeah, I think getting back to this story, it's really cool that you do have more providence in these situations than you may believe. I think oftentimes we experience haunts, we experience activity, and we feel helpless. And that's why most paranormal investigators and people trying to help people dealing with hauntings will tell people, look, you've got to claim your space. Claim your space. Say, this isn't okay.
Knife.
There'll be no knives involved. Thank you very little. We're not playing with knives. If you've got an idea about knives, you can get the hell out. But claim your space and say, look, this isn't okay. You can't be here. This is not okay. And generally speaking, you don't want things following you anyway. I'm not saying that it's not good to try to help, like if you feel there's a spirit in despair and you can help bridge the gap and get them to transition and go on to peaceful whatever. In the case of formerly human spirits, sure. I mean, you try to do what you can, but you don't want to become a wagon train of entities of all manner just kind of clinging onto you and living vicariously through you and watching you throughout every moment of your life, which is really creepy. That's a creepy part of it. It's like, do you really have to watch while I scrub the stinky parts? I just don't think that's good. So I'm not a big proponent of encouraging attachments in any way, because they do have their own existence and they shouldn't be trying to attach to yours. But what the hell was that? No, you haven't missed it yet. We haven't done it yet, Benno. You're still in time. There's only a couple things to go through for what the hell is that, though. But I think use your voice, and it's kind of like childhood advice. Use your words. Well, definitely use your words. Like, I'm not okay with this. You're not allowed to do this. You need to get out. You need to return to where you're from. You're not welcome here. Or if you're okay with them being there, lay out the rules. You can be here if you're loving and kind, and if you're, are helping to protect and watch over us. That's your call. I'm not encouraging or discouraging that. I know some people look at it that way, and that's fine. It's up to you. I don't know 100% the truth of that, if they will just use that time to figure out ways to screw with you that don't ignore the rules, or that they, it's like a word game sometimes. It's like, well, I can't go in there, but maybe I can go into here and then end up in there. And then I didn't go into there. I went the other way. I don't know. It's just, I think it's always good, but I think you have a lot more control of these situations than you think you do, because we feel extraordinarily disempowered when we're confronted with things we can't understand. Why did that chair move? I didn't touch it. Nobody touched it, and it slid across the floor. That's creepy. That's weird. I feel disempowered. And I think that's, allowing that fear to be present. It is a permission of sorts for these things. If you're afraid of them, they become empowered. So always hang on to your power. So Jinn like to hang out in bathrooms. That's not at all creepy, Chucky. Well, I know I must have purged a few demons in there. I'm just saying. Hey, Obake, he's here. Mr. Ghost of Hawaii. Hey, how you doing, brother? Happy birthday. If I understand right, is it your birthday? Happy birthday, man. It's good to have you come in. We missed you. Hope everything's good over on the islands, and thanks for coming in, brother. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Yobake Hunter, Mr. Philip Torres, wonderful guy. I've known him for years and years and years, but we've kind of lost track of each other for a long time, so I hope you're doing good, brother. Hope the family's good. All right, let's continue. We'll do one more, and then we'll go to what the hell is that, and then we will continue on with the cryptid corner. All right, number 3, it was my first public investigation leading about 30 people through an old mill building in Manchester, New Hampshire, and it was built in the early 1900s as a textile mill on the Merrimack River, turned into modern private studios and businesses. We'd recently been bought out to be renovated into new office space, and we had the entire building to ourselves, with all businesses having been pushed out, exploring and investigating each of the 3 floors, and eventually down into the basement, and then to an even deeper level basement. Oh, that gets a little extra creepy. There was a reputable psychic medium in attendance, and she as well as several others were drawn off to one side of the room, where a large hole seemed to have been blasted out of a brick wall. Approaching the hole and crouching down to peer inside, I could feel a cold, steady breeze, colder than the already freezing basement, coming from the other side. Upon shining a light beyond the rubble, I could make out 2 distinct tunnels. One shooting off to the right, seemingly spanning the length of the building, and one shooting off to the left. Makes you wonder if it's like some underground railroad thing. Wondering of the purpose and where these tunnels went as I stared into the dark tunnel on the right, with a flashlight only allowing my sight to reach maybe 10 to 15 feet back, I saw a white mist manifest and move from left to right across the entrance to the tunnel, with just my naked eye. I set up the camera and a laser grid shining into the hole and down the tunnel on the right, and we turned the lights out, and I turned on my best communication device, asking if whoever was there would mind showing themselves again, moving across the tunnel entrance. And there was a with the green that came through at that time. I confirmed that yes, through the green laser lights. Myself and several others stood patiently waiting crouched down in front of the tunnel, our eyes peering out into the darkness, afraid to blink for the fear of missing something. Seconds later, we all witnessed a comet-like energy fly from down the tunnel and out of the hole in the wall above my head. The camera catching the laser beams being affected by the movement of an unseen mass, and the communication device was saying, "They're watching," at the same time. My fiance's energy was completely drained and was later told that she experienced an attempted attachment that night in the basement. Once safely outside and cleansed, the psychic described a face she saw with a wide open mouth as the energy that flew out of the hole. I only wish we were able to get a name. The link to that video evidence from this investigation can be seen on our Instagram. And that is Spectral Visions Paranormal. I don't know if that would still be there or defunct. I guess we can try to open it and just see. See if Instagram will open up. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's the basement. This is the video, actually. Huh. Maybe we should save that for what the hell is that?
Is our energy, my energy.
That's the laser grid right there. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Okay. Maybe we'll cover that and what the hell is that? I don't know how long it is, but let's check that out. That'll be 3 things to cover on the What the Hell Is That segment. So, very cool. Natasha Dominguez, founder of Spectral Visions Paranormal USA. Very cool. Very cool. I'd like to get a hold of all these people, actually, and talk to them, interview them. I think it's wonderful to interview, researchers, because they put themselves in positions to have experiences. So that'd be great, actually. I'll have to reach out to some of these groups and see if they're still in action and if they would want to come on the show. Going to binge when all episodes are available in Canada. Binge what? What are you going to binge, T-Bone? I got to scroll up and see what you're talking about. I don't know. Okay, well, not sure. All right. Oh, hi, Keyshawn. Good to see you. How often do you check your emails? Well, I check the email all the time. Did you email me? I'm sorry if I missed it. Is there something I should see? Because I'm sorry if I didn't. I've been very sick. I went to 2 conferences, and in the middle week between those 2 conferences, I was very sick. And I had to bury my cat. So it was kind of a real tough 3 weeks for me. But I will try to look. In fact, I'll write down your name. Is it coming from your name, Keyshawn? I'll write it down. Keishon. Email. I will take a note to look after the show, see if I can find something from you. I'm sorry if I missed it, so my apologies. I've been trying to catch up since getting back home from the last conference, which was in Missouri, which took 2 days, 23 hours of driving each way. It was a lot of miles. Oh, my God. All right, so that's going to wrap up this segment. We're going to go over to the What the Hell Is That? And I guess we'll check out this one. But we'll start out with that one, actually, because that looks pretty cool. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Anubis had been having troubles anyway. He had a couple seizures, and it was starting to affect him. And unfortunately, there was nothing that could be done with that. It was just going to keep degrading him. And, there was just going to happen eventually that some seizure he just wouldn't come back from. And we were just, of course you're crushed. You love these animals and you want to protect them. You want them to, stick with you. They just become such incredible parts of our lives. But, I'd heard this was the case. I just hadn't experienced this before. But Anubis, since his eyesight was so bad from the seizures, he wouldn't leave the yard. But that day, he left the yard, and we couldn't find him and didn't know where he was. And what had happened was he'd wandered out the alley and into the road and got hit by a car. And, it's an incredible heartbreaker. But at the same time, it's like maybe he knew. Maybe he knew it was time to go. It was time to go home. And that might have been the most gentle possibility for him. So it's a heartbreaker. But I don't know. I have to believe that he just probably knew it was his time. And I've heard that cats do that they will go someplace away from the family that they love and just die. So maybe that was his version of that. I don't know. But, Yeah, that's the problem. We love them. You know, there's an old saying from what was it, from Blade Runner? The lights that shine twice as bright burn half as long. And I think about that with these pets, that they just have such depth and love and are such amazing parts of our lives, but they just lead such brief lives. But we still keep inviting them in because life with them is so much better than life without them. So thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the compassion. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've had some time to get over it and to kind of process it, but it was certainly a blow. It was a tough one. He made several appearances on the show through the years. He'd jump up on the arm here and be like, oh, and then walk across the desk. So, yeah, Mr. Anubis. Yeah. All right, so let's see what we're doing here. Okay, we're going to go to the next segment as I keep teasing. Here we go. By the way, this will be coming up in October. I'll be over here with the Hometown Ghost Stories guys on October 24th in the Barrel House Z, Weymouth, Massachusetts. I'll be doing a live presentation there. So if you're in the East Coast area and you want to meet and come check it out, please do. Love to have you there. Just go to Eventbrite, look up Hometown Ghost Stories Live, and yeah, it'll be them and me. And we're doing that show October 24th. And then there's an investigation going to be happening. I think it's at the Lizzie Borden Tea House, actually. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but either way, it's going to be a fun event, and it'd be great to meet more of you if I can. All right, so let's get to this part now. That's what I ask myself every morning. And then I realize I'm looking in the mirror. No, I'm just kidding. I do have a rough morning face. I'll just say that. Like, do you guys ever have that where, it's like you look in the mirror, it's like, who that? Oh God, that's me. Yeah, my hair just does all kinds of electric stuff during the night, and then I wake up and it's just like, because I have really thick, coarse hair. I mean, I got all my hair, but it's just very thick and coarse. But it just pounds up and does all kinds of stupid looking stuff. And I've actually scared myself getting up and just looking in the mirror. Just like, wow, that shouldn't be how I look. I shouldn't look like that. Mine lasts all day, Brent. Yeah, that's why I wear hats. Honestly, that's why I wear hats. It's just like, either a pound of gel or a hat. I just usually go with the hat. So, all right, this is What the Hell Is That? This is a segment where we deal with different supposed evidence. And some of it looks good. Some of it looks absolutely like crap. And some of it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know. I don't pretend to be the arbiter of truth. Like, I don't know for sure if what we're looking at is real. There's so much we can't know. The purpose of this segment is just to showcase different evidences and let you guys be the judge. Do you think this represents whatever the piece is? Does it represent what may be actual evidence, or is it probably just a bunch of crap? And, again, we can't know for sure. And there's no wrong answer, so feel free to vote however you feel. Now, since we just discussed this, the actual backstory to it, let's get to this now. And we kind of started teasing it a little bit, but let's have a look at what's going on.
That hallway?
With the green.
The green lights?
So I realized...
Oh my fucking God.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Did you see it?
I missed it.
Did you see it? Thank you so much.
Holy chills.
Thank you.
Did you guys see anything? I didn't see anything. But I was just going to say, watch the dots, because when you have any kind of a spirit movement, it can diffract some of these lights, and you can sometimes make out a form walking through them. I didn't see it, and unfortunately...
Thank you so much for coming up towards us and going up this way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We saw you. We saw you.
Yeah.
With the lights. Did you get it on video? It's 11:11.
Wow. Does that mean something?
It's a good number.
That's a good number. That's a good number.
Oh my God.
I saw it again.
Yeah, I saw that too. It's really hard to see. But let's see. There's another part too here, I guess.
The green lights. Oh my. It's a good number.
That's a good number. That's a good number.
Oh my God. I saw it again.
That's interesting. Let's go back to the first one again. The second one is more superimposed. Okay, let's see this one again.
Can anyone try to use our energy, my energy, to move across that hallway? The green lights?
Okay, I saw it. It was like a movement quick here where something caused these more muted lights to really light up. Like something moved into that space and made those lights so much brighter. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Sorry about the language. I mean, obviously, they're in the moment. And those are very, very organic reactions to experiencing something cool. So you can't really blame them. I will say, one of the things I would say is that I'm not a big proponent of saying, use my energy, take my energy. Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't offer your energy to things, because that's definitely a green light. You don't know if it's a pleasant spirit or if it's just something out of the abyss somewhere. So you don't green light something to attach and use your energy. That's my personal take. I don't know. You believe what you want, but anyway, did you guys, first of all, did you guys see it? Did you guys see the change in the lights on the screen? Those little green dots. Did you guys see it? Benno. Take on my debt. Yeah, there you go, Rachel. That's one I need too. Let me, no, you didn't? Okay. Well, I'll leave it play. We'll just let it.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to mute it because we don't need all the, the dialogue over and over. But watch up in here. It's still playing because I know what happens the second time. That was a finger in front of there. But I don't know if we're still listening here or not.
Does that mean something?
It's a good number.
That's a good number. That's a good number.
Oh my God.
I saw.
Yeah, there was another flicker up here. So let me go back. Let's watch this one. But watch in the areas here. And this one has the contrast turned up, so it's more easy to see the details. So there you go. Cool stuff. I think it might be, but something is apparently white mist moving in those the laser grid is what's being done here, and it's not really easy to see. But what do you guys think? Is this potentially demonstrating spiritual activity, or do you think it's nothing? Let me know. Give me a 1 if you think this could be a great capture and showcasing some great activity, or a 0 if you think nothing here. What do you got? Tell me in the chats. Chat poll time. Let me know. I'm watching the chat. Rachel's, yeah, she's all in. Chucky's in. Yeah, I'm seeing some changes there. I don't know what a laser grid is, so I'm saying I don't know. Well, it's when you have a laser that goes into a refractor and it sends out just multiple dots of light or streams of laser light in a grid pattern in a room. And the belief is that if a spiritual energy goes through that, it'll cause a disturbance in those dots, and you can see it, that something is in that space. That is apparently not there as far as you can see, but the dots make it able to see it. So that's basically what a laser grid is. Sorry, can't see it, Jose says. Sharon Sunshine said 2, which wasn't an option. Chell Bells says 1. Give it a 1. Karen Alberding, Ghost of Hawaii 1. Could be good, but not this one. Fair enough. Karma Leo is halfway there. Okay. All right. John Stevenson's all in. Aussie Tiger's in. Jess Mink. Cryptical Crossroads. Josh is in. Annie Manul's halfway there. Okay. And let me get down here. Adventures with Beth's all in. Can't see it. 0. Fair enough. How cool. Thanks, Brent. Yeah, you're welcome. Of course. Sharon Sunshine. Nah, she's not seeing it. That's fair enough. It's a very subtle thing generally. This isn't one of those, oh my God, there's an apparition walking. I've seen some pretty good ones through the years, clips of that, of capturing shadows moving through the lasers, which is really pretty incredible, but those are very rare. So that's the first piece of what the hell is that. But there's more, because I got one that Chucky sent me on Instagram. We're going to get to that. Let me close that. Let me minimize that, and let me get over to the other browser to get up the one that Chucky sent. It's here somewhere. It's here. This is kind of a cool one. It looks like this is coming from Devil Gazing. And Devil Gazing, I don't know if that's a researcher or whatever, but it's from Instagram. Devil Gazing is the account. I would encourage you to go check out their page, because chances are they've posted several videos like this, but this one was sent to us by our very own Chucky Danger to talk about on the show. There is audio with this one. So the backstory, as I understand it, is these guys were camping. A couple people were camping, and they could hear something run up into camp and talking in a language they couldn't understand. I don't know if it's Sasquatch. I don't know what it could be. Of course, it could be a hoax, because we never see anything but the inside of the tent, but maybe something's there. By the way, I should see. Car Juice said 1 for the last one, and Barbara said 1, but it could also be something else too. Yeah. Couldn't see well enough, says Justin. Yeah, fair enough. That was the votes on the last one. Sorry, guys, I forgot to go to Rumble on that, but thank you for your votes. It's good to know what you guys think. All right. My hair's poking out now. I can see myself. All right, here we go. This is the one that Chucky sent me. Let's have a look. This man was camping alone in a village when this happened. I don't know if there's anyone else in the village or not, but let's see. What does it say on the top? Does it give us? YouTuber named Hype Mike was camping alone in a village late at night when something terrifying happened. While sitting by his tent, he and his gear picked up a distant scream coming from nearby, like someone in trouble. Moments later, heavy footsteps sounded as if something was rushing towards the tent. Then they heard something digging or moving soil right up against their campsite. Viewers later debated what it could be. Some thought it was a wolf, while others claimed it looked like a skinwalker. I don't know how you don't see anything, though. I don't know where the looking like comes from, but let's check it out. It has audio. I don't know where they get wolf on this, but let's check it out. Here you go. It may not be at the actual start.
All the time, as well as
now that sounded pretty bipedal, I will say, though. That didn't sound quadrupedal at all.
okay, that was weird. What are the odds something just walks next to us?
Well, I got it.
All the time.
So there you go. The sounds that are emitted does sound kind of like what you might expect the samurai chatter. It doesn't sound as big, like as far as some of the depth of the voice and stuff that generally are, captured with the samurai chatter, but it's not a language that I know. I don't know It could be somebody just all methed out. I don't it's anybody's guess. I don't know. But again, we don't see anything but inside the tents. But is this a scenario that could be real? Sure. Is this a scenario that could be faked? Sure. We don't ever get to see anything except their reactions. And it's one of my critiques from the old ghost hunting show days where, and Finding Bigfoot, it's like, oh, here's my scared face. Because you got the big face camera where you can see, it's like, I don't need to see you afraid. I need to try to see what you're seeing, Don't aim a camera at somebody and just put their face making, it's like, why? If you're going to have a show about paranormal, about Bigfoot, point the cameras at the stuff that's happening. Whether you see it or not, at least, it gives you a sense of maybe you could see something. But the whole scared face thing, just drives me crazy. But let's see what's going on here. Dutch tent poisoning might change the vocal cords. I have no idea. I think that's like the old ball lightning thing. It's like, well, sure, ball lightning could be possible, but it's a real curiosity how ball lightning appears, and there's a lot of mystery around that as a natural phenomena. But it gets thrown out there all the time in UFO circles. So it's not always something paranormal. Yeah, exactly. It could just be a real baked out camper or crazy person in the hills or wherever the hell they are. So there's not much to go on here, but the question is, do you think this might be real? Again, nobody knows. We can't ask the questions. We can't, try to duplicate the experience, but we can just look at it and go, does that look real? Let me know. 1 in the chat if you think it's real. 0 if you think it's nothing. Maggie's not in on this one. She's like, nope. Maggie's nope. Adventures with Beth, nope. What do you guys think? That's a few votes. Rachel says nope. Animals make some weird noises that can sound terrifying. Sure, true. Aussie says nope. Nate's not in on this one. Karen Alberting's not in on it. Yeshua is not in on it. Barbara, is that a 1? Yes, you're all in. Carjuice, are you in too? Okay. Lenda's nope. Too easy to get friends to just walk outside and tend for clicks. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nate. That's the big thing is it clickbait. I mean, it's certainly not any huge trick to just give your friend $10 to run up on a tent in the darkness and grunt and make some noise. It's very easy to do that kind of stuff. Foxes make a creepy laugh. Yeah, they do. I got an experience with a wild fox. It was almost tame. It was very weird. The thing loved me for some reason. It was just came right up to me. I could hand feed it. It was weird. Yeah, Benno's not in on this one. Amanda's Crazy Life channel, nope. Hooking Good Creations by Tina, nope. Not in there. Okay, fair enough. Well, that was easy. Yep, you're right. Easily faked. Yeah, you're right, Carjuice. It would be. Yeah. It would be easy to fake, but it's interesting all the same. And that's what this segment is all about. Just reviewing evidence, having a talk about it. Do you think this might represent actual evidence or no? And again, do we know? No. We don't know, but we do know there's another video here. This one's just creepy. I don't know what you think about this one, but this one to me is just creepy.
Powerful websites you shouldn't.
No, don't do that. All right, hold on. This one to me is just creepy. I don't think this is paranormal, but it's creepy. That's all I can say about it, really. It's just a creepy experience. So I'm going to put this one up on the screen and we'll go over this. Oh, what are you doing? Don't do that, pinning it. God, I hate that. There we go. All right. So this is by the Dog Daddy, and I think this is the actual account that posted it. Basically what's going on is he's had this person kind of stalking his house, and I don't know the story of it. I don't necessarily think this is paranormal, but I think it might be legit. Like him dealing with someone that's just not all there. In other words, it could be a real event that happened, but I don't think it's a paranormal event. But let's take a look and see what the hell is that. Thanks, Brent. Take care, Hall. Good night, Maggie. Thanks for coming in. It's great to see you. All right, or good day, as it turns out. Good day. All right, here we go. This is the video of the Dog Daddy on Facebook. Check out his channel and see what you think. But let's check this out. It's really disturbing. Here we go. Here's the video. Let me slide it over so it's more framed. There we go. All right. I heard my dogs going ballistic outside and found that some woman just standing outside of the gate at midnight. Here we go. Here's the video. I just think this is a troubled soul, but you guys be the judge.
Listen, you need to leave now. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to let them out. It's midnight. What are you doing here? Leave now. It's midnight. We're not playing any more games. You are agitating my dogs. I told you late at night my guard dogs are out, and they're out. I'm not going to be babysitting. You broke into the property at 3 in the morning. They're going to come out.
I just came to bless you and your dog.
You need to leave now. You need to leave now. I'm letting them out. Don't come any closer. I'm going to let them out.
You don't have to let them out.
I'm going to let them out.
Don't do that.
They're here and they're waiting.
Don't do that.
I'm going to leave. The police has been looking for 4 days now. There's no one around. This is my place. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know where you're coming from.
I just came to bless you.
I'm letting my dogs out.
Don't do that.
And then she's gone.
She disappeared.
She disappeared.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Could it be something different? Yeah. It does seem kind of loony, you're right. I mean, it's tragic if it's somebody dealing with mental health issues, and God only knows the hell that they live with every day, just trying to sort things out and make anything make sense. And it's, it's a tragic thing, very tragic thing. But could this be paranormal? Maybe. I don't know where she went, but he does walk over like he's going to open the gate, and it's not like she couldn't have just dove into the weeds. She could have, and that would have been very easy to pull off. I don't know. It just seems kind of bizarrely twisted. But I tend to believe that this is more like, why would you go over to somebody's house and want to bless him and his dogs at midnight? It's probably not the best time to get a blessing. I don't want anybody stopping by my house. I assume she's part of a cult for some reason. That's a good point, Keyshawn. Yeah, that could be. It could be. Whatever's going on, is it paranormal or no? I don't know. I don't know how to even ask you guys to vote, because the event could have happened. I mean, that's fair enough to say that he could have recorded this crazy woman. He made a reference to her breaking in 3 a.m. another night, and we know at this filming it's midnight. So obviously this is an ongoing issue with this person. He said the cops have been after this person for 4 days. I don't know what that means. I bet they're not, dragnet in the woods looking for this person, but they're probably keeping an eye out for anybody wandering around. Maybe she was on something. Yeah, that's a good point, Jose. Was she wearing Vans? I don't know. I can't tell. Yeah, she's just out there skateboarding down the dirt road. I don't know. It's crazy. Whatever the situation is. So what the hell is it? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what we're dealing with here, but I would wager this is definitely more of a mental health thing than it is paranormal. But it's weird. It's really weird. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't even have, but is it supernatural? Let's ask that. That's a great idea, Rachel. Do you guys think this was a supernatural event? She does disappear. She might have a record. Yeah, she might. We don't have any backstory on the individual at all. He's not even sure, apparently, where she's coming from, because he's out in the middle of nowhere. And suddenly this woman is just showing up, which is creepy. So do you guys think it's a paranormal event that was recorded here, or do you think it's just some person having issues? Let me know. One for paranormal, supernatural, or 0 for just someone with issues. Let me know. Vote on that. Poltergeist 2. God is in his holy temple. Yeah, that was creepy. Yeah, I think most of us think it's probably mental health. Yeah, it's disturbing. ES thinks it might be paranormal, though. Yeah, and fair enough. I mean, the person is there and talking and then suddenly isn't, but it wouldn't be hard for her just to dive into the thick weeds and be hidden from sight. A woman at night, she's either nuts or not alone. Don't go out unarmed. Good point, Delane. I hadn't even thought about that. Is she even alone? That's the scarier version of this. It seemed worried about the hounds. Yeah, I think I would be, though, too, T-Bone, honestly. I think, if the guy's got a handful of big dogs, and he's called the dog daddy, so I'm sure they're plenty good at being guard dogs. And, if you're not catfishing, it could be, right. Chow Bell is right in the middle. No, nonetheless, it is a strange and creepy occurrence. Yeah, it is, absolutely. But this is why I got so many dogs. Amen, Linda. I mean, if you got the time and the space and the love to give them, hell yeah, have a whole crew of dogs. But very interesting. And I'm, again, I don't know. But I do know that this has been another installment of...
The hell is that?
Indeed, what is it? We don't know. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is that there's more. We got one more segment to attack here on the show, and that is one of the favorite segments, I think, in the history of the show, and that is not that one. It's actually going to be on the next screen. It's going to be over here, because it's time, ladies and gentlemen. We got to go into the deep woods and explore what the hell's going on in the woods, because it's time for the Cryptid Corner. All right. It was suggested that I talk into the sounds a little bit. So I did that. Did that sound good? Me talking right up to the thunder? I think it did. I think it was good. I kind of cheated today, just so you know. I kind of cheated. And it's because I was traveling. I kind of got a hankering for some Coca-Cola. I might get a little gassy, but I'll try to be pleasant about it. Oh. Linda says, once in a while we get folks out here in the middle of BF Egypt. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I mean, there's strangeness all over. And there's certainly potential for, damaged people or even other kinds of things to be out lurking. I think one of the things that I've kind of taken away from doing these shows and exploring these phenomena is that anything can happen anywhere. Like there's always a potential. I had a post on a thread that had to do with a haunting. Oh, it was actually a comment on the new podcast on my Facebook. And I can't remember who the person was, but he said, but the question is, do you think the Lizzie Borden house is haunted? And my response was, I think everywhere is haunted. I think that there's always a potential for there to be, ghostly activity, spiritual activity anywhere we are. And honestly, the same would hold true for the cryptids or UFOs. It's like, where is the spots? Well, they're anywhere and everywhere. I think we are swimming in a world of possibility. And that means nectar of the gods. You got it, Jess. You know. But I think that any place is potentially haunted. Any place is a potential Bigfoot hotspot or Dogman or pale crawler or UFO. I mean, it could be anywhere and anywhere. I don't think they have fences and boundaries for the most part. I think there may be natural boundaries between Bigfoot and Dogman that they form, but it's crazy. All right, here we go. We're going to start the journey on Sasquatch Chronicles blog, ladies and gentlemen. Please support what Wes is doing over here on the blog. It's just so incredibly well done. And he updates every day with several new pieces of content that you can check out that have to do with any number of phenomena. The blog has got some, I think I got bit by a mosquito on my arm. The blog has got, of course, plenty of references to Sasquatch, and mostly I check out the listener emails that have been sent to Wes, because I know that not all of them will become shows, but they're still great experiences that people are having, and they're worth exploring. And I love that Wes posts them, and so it's, again, special thanks to Wes for letting us use the blog. All right, here we go. September 24th, I never told anyone what I saw. A listener writes, in 1979, I was 15 years old. Well, I come from a middle-class family in northern Indiana, so when we went on vacation, we would usually go camping and fishing around the Great Lakes. This particular year, our whole family, including aunts and uncles, headed out to go on a fishing excursion in northern Minnesota. Whew, Skull Vikings. My dad and his brothers had rented a houseboat large enough for all of us, and we were headed for an area just northeast of Lake Superior, known as the Land of 1,000 Lakes. What is that area? The whole state's known as the Land of 10,000 Lakes. I don't know this area he's talking about. Okay. After a pretty long drive, we had finally entered Minnesota, and we ended up driving through the Superior National Forest. Being an Indiana boy, this is like nothing I had ever seen. This is an old-growth forest, the largest and deepest woodlands I had ever seen. Well, after camping for one night at a roadside Minnesota KOA, we finally arrived where we were to pick up the houseboat. We're very close to the Canadian border at this point, and I don't really remember the name of the place that we acquired the houseboat. But I do remember that this area was where many lakes chain linked together along the Canadian border. Sounds like the Boundary Waters. Many of these lakes were directly on the border. The southern shorelines in the United States and the northern shorelines were Canadian. The lakes were named things like Lac LaCroix, Rainy, and Saganaga Lake. When my cousin and I finally laid eyes on the houseboat, it was actually a bit old and weathered. It almost appeared to be an old trailer that someone put atop of, two very long pontoons, and then stuck two mortars on the back of it. But even with it being what it was, my cousin and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Our families had brought two boats with them, smaller fishing boats. One was my grandpa's boat. It was the larger of the two, a mastercraft with a steering wheel and a nice motor, and the other boat was just a small flat-bottom aluminum boat. We used to call those John boats. I don't know if they still are. Couldn't refer to that, but those were always John boats. With a 5-horsepower engine that you steered with a tiller. My cousin Tony and I had our eyes on the smaller aluminum boat. We knew that would most likely be our plaything on the lakes. And I remember my uncle explaining to the man that we were renting the houseboat from, that we were planning on towing the two smaller boats behind the houseboats to use for fishing. And that's when the man looked directly at me and my cousin and said to never get out of eyesight of the houseboat because it was very easy to get lost in this area. Well, the area we was in, I thought it said we was in, but as we were in, was called the Land of 1,000 Lakes for a reason. All of the different lakes on the Canadian border were chained together and almost formed a maze. There were thousands of channels, peninsulas, and islands all throughout these lakes, and many people have had to be rescued after getting lost. If you zoom in on this area on Google Maps, you can see exactly what I mean. There's a lot of talk between the houseboat guy and my dad, uncles, and grandfather about navigating the area. It was about all the yellow buoys floating in the lakes that had numbers on them. And one of the cabinet doors inside the houseboat was actually a map with numbered buoy locations marked on it. And this is very important because there were only 3 or 4 places to get fuel for the houseboat once you're back in this wilderness. And they were all on the American side of the lakes. There's also a radio in the houseboat to communicate with these small marinas. It kind of looked like one of those old CB radios at home base units. You have to remember, we were going out into this area at a time when there was no GPS, no Google Maps, no smartphones, and it really was a different world back then. After all was said and done, and groceries were bought, the smaller boats were dropped into the water via the boat ramp, and we all climbed aboard our aquatic trailer park home and sailed off into the unknown. Now let me kind of explain to you what kind of pure wilderness we were in. By the second day, we were deep into the lakes, and you'd find spots to anchor the boat and have fun and go fishing. So at one point, my cousin was out in the water, in the smallest boat, kind of putting around on one of these lakes when we saw what must have been a pack of 10 to 12 wolves running along a bank. We only saw them for a few seconds and from about 150 yards away when they turned and bounded back into the tree line and disappeared. Well, during this same little excursion, we also saw from a distance on a different shoreline what we thought were bears. Two dark-furred animals on all fours that seemed to be large enough to be bear cubs. When we headed in closer for a better look, the closer we got, the more we realized that these were not bears. They were beavers, and they were sitting on their back haunches, stripping bark off of small branches and paying no attention to us. I had no idea that beavers got to this size. The way they were sitting there looked like they could have come up to my waist in height. And during the entirety of this vacation, we saw moose, bears, beaver, and wolves, so a lot of large animals and carnivores that two Indiana boys were not used to. On a later day in our vacation, we were pushing the limits of the whole keeping the houseboat in sight at all times thing. We were pretty far out and did go into a small cove where we could not see the houseboat. We were fairly sure we could just come out of this cove, turn left, and see the houseboat. The reason we went into this cove was we saw a massive face off a cliff. It was pretty tall, and we could see tree line at the top of it. It was all rock, almost like it was made out of one rock. The face of it was a little more than a 45-degree angle. Of course, we wanted to climb up and look around. We had fun climbing, and we had one of those old-school throwaway Kodak film cameras. We took turns taking pictures of each other, sort of profile views, and turning the camera to make it look like we were climbing straight up, like Spider-Man. And then we got to the top. The edge of the forest was right there. And as we stood there staring into the forest, we both kind of got this uneasy, prehistoric feeling in the pit of our stomachs. This was deep old-growth forest on the Canadian side of this lake, and it was not at all like looking into a woods of the farmlands of Indiana. Where we were from, when you looked into the woods, you could usually see glimmers of light from the other side, and if you couldn't see through, you always knew you could just walk through, and there would be a country road or farmer's field on the other side. Looking into this deep Canadian forest was different. It was kind of like that first time you ever see the ocean, and you realize there is no other side. It just keeps going. Well, as we looked through these huge tree trunks beneath its canopy, and trying to see in between the trees, it just got darker and darker until it was just blackness, and was in the middle of the day. I remember Tony saying to me that you could walk back into that woods and make one wrong turn and die. No one would ever find you. I looked at him and a little shiver went up my spine. But when I looked back at the trees, the shivers became a kind of dread because something was different. A ways back into this forest, I could have sworn that before I turned to my head to look at Tony, there had been several different trees that had large bumps on the side of them. Well, these bumps were all several feet off the ground, and at the time of seeing them, I thought they just looked like when a tree gets deformed lump or growth on its trunk. If I had to guess, there was maybe 7 to 10 of them, ranging anywhere from 30 to 60 yards back in the forest. After that, it got too dark and hazy to see. Now, after turning my head back towards the forest, there were no lumps. All the trees were smooth and straight. My brain almost didn't realize it at first until the dread set in and my voice cracked as I said to Tony, "You're freaking me out. Let's just climb back down to the boat." Well, after that, we made our way back to the houseboat. My uncle had anchored the boat so that the front of it was touching a small sandy beach. I guess I should say the bow of the boat. The beach was on one side of a small strip of land that connected an island to the main forest. If you were to look down from the sky on this little area, it would look like a round island about maybe the size of 4 or 5 football fields, connected to the mainland by a strip of land about 60 yards long and 15 to 20 yards wide. Just like an umbilical cord, the island was full of the same old growth trees, and we explored and played on most all of it. Around the outside of the island and on the side of the strip of land opposite of the beach were large rocks and boulders, and the rocks and boulders formed a rocky border about 30 to 40 feet from the water's edge to the tree line, all the way around the island. My story has a lot to do with the rocks and boulders around this island. Right at the water's edge, between the large boulders and the water, there was a 2 or 3 foot wide area of gravelly rocks that formed a small beach that was also around most of the island. This will come into play later in my story when the day is done. About an hour after sunset, we heard wolves calling to each other in the distance. The sound was pretty far away, but you could tell it was a lot of different wolves. I have a love for nature and animals, and I remember thinking how beautiful it sounded. They sang to each other for over an hour. Everyone on the boat could hear it. What ended their singing was one long howl that sounded much louder, deeper, and different than all the other howls from the wolves. It still sounded far away, but you could tell it was closer than the wolves. It was strange how long and monotone this howl was. It was almost sounding like a siren. Everyone was astounded on the roof deck listening to the wolves when this happened. We all kind of went silent, and then my uncle said, "Man, that's a big one." And we all kind of laughed and just brushed it off. I would later come to believe that that last howl was absolutely not a wolf. The next day, my dad, uncles, and grandfather decided we would stay in his spot for another day or two because they were catching so many fish. When they would take the fishing boat out in this area, they were catching mostly walleye, but some crappie, perch, and a few northern pike were also caught. Tony and I would go out on the boats with them and also catch quite a few fish. And we would then also mess around on the island during the day, stealing cigarettes from my grandmother and heading to the other side of the island to smoke. We were, after all, teenage boys, and it was the 70s. Tony and I had also decided that we were going to be big and bad and take the smallest boat to the other side of the island that night. We were going to fish all night long. So we pilfered 2 cans of Pabst Blue Ribbon, another pack of Grandmom's cigarettes, and some Twinkies. Right at about sunset, we put around to the other side of the island in our little boat. We ran the boat up onto the gravelly bank and tied it off on a rock. And we then sat up on the bank for a night of fishing. And this would also end up being one of the most terrifying nights of my life. We set up our little night fishing spot as follows. It says it twice. We sat on 2 large rocks at the water's edge, using our orange life jackets as cushions for our backsides. And we had a Coleman lantern, the kind that used the liquid fuel when you pumped it up, and made that hissing noise after you lit it. It burned very brightly, and we had a piece of foil wrapped around one side of the glass on the lantern so the light would only shine out into the water and not back at our eyes. This is an old night fishing trick of my grandpa's. And we had 2 fishing poles, old wood army blankets, wool rather, and from where we sat on the rocks, the water's edge, there was a 3 to 4 foot wide, gravelly strip of beach. Like I spoke of earlier in the story, I was right to the moment that we caught our first fish, and we realized we didn't bring anything to put the fish in or on. We didn't have any stringer. My cousin Tony had the idea to dig a hole out of the gravel right at the water's edge so that the water from the lake would run into it and form a small pool for us to put our fish in. Well, it worked very well. We lined the edge of it next to the water with larger rocks, forming a little dam to keep the fish in. Well, after that, we really started to catch fish. We caught quite a few, and they were all large crappies. I think we must have had somewhere between 12 to 15 fairly large fish in our little dugout pool, and we actually had to make it bigger a few times as we were catching fish And now for the creepy part. Late into that night, I feel like it must have been maybe 3 in the morning. We were kind of getting tired, but we were still catching fish. The moon was out. The stars were bright, so you could kind of see out across the lake. Our lantern was shining out into the water, and suddenly, down the bank, maybe 50 yards farther than we could see in the dark, we heard a deep splash. The kind of splash that sounds like a depthy kublooch kind of sound. That was a great spelling for that. Kublooch. Okay. My cousin said it was probably just a beaver or a big fish jumping. It just didn't sound like that to me. The beavers we had seen swimming in the lake when they would see our boat coming in would always slap their tail on the water and then dive down, making a completely different sound than what we had just heard. A fish jumping usually makes that slapping, spattering sound, not that deep depth sound that we just heard. It couldn't have been more than a couple of minutes after this happened that we heard something back in behind the tree line. It was like footsteps, rustling leaves, crackling sticks. It just didn't sound heavy. It didn't sound heavy like giant footsteps. It sounded like someone trying to be careful and being sneaky. Either that or just some kind of animal walking through the woods. We immediately thought that it was one of our uncles or our dads trying to scare us. Tony yelled back into the woods behind us, "If you're trying to scare us, it's not working. We know you're back there." When Tony did this, the footsteps and rustling noises immediately stopped. After that, it was silent for a few more minutes, and then we heard the rustling sounds again. They sounded like they were going on past us and away through the woods. Well, a few minutes later, we heard another deep splash on the opposite side of us from where the first splash had taken place down the bank. Picked up the lantern and shined it in that direction for a moment and saw nothing. I set the lantern back down and had a seat back on my rock, and we were both getting fairly nervous at this point and just being quiet. Just sitting there with our fishing poles in our hands, for a brief moment we could hear the footsteps behind us in the tree line again. When suddenly we hear a branch crack high up in the trees directly behind us. At this moment we're still looking out over the water where the lantern is shining light on the lake, and that's when we see it. A rock the size of a football tumbling and flying through the air. It came directly over our heads about 20 feet high and flew out into the water about 40 to 50 feet. It hit the water and made that same deep splash that we'd heard 2 times before. The rock and the splash were directly within the area that was being lit up by the lantern. The rock sent a splash straight up into the air like a pillar of water. Tony and I immediately jumped straight up, faced the woods, and boulders and rocks that framed the island were between us and the tree line. The distance to the tree line was about 40 feet. We looked into the darkness and we saw nothing. I don't think either of us were brave enough to pick up the lantern and shine it towards the forest. We were both scared out of our minds. Tony whispered to me, his voice cracking, "Bears can't throw rocks, can they?" Now then, let's do some math. A rock the size of a football came from somewhere in the woods, cracked branches high in the trees when it came through the canopy, flew 30 to 40 feet over the boulders and 40 to 50 feet out into the water over our heads. Conservatively, that's 80 feet. Having said that, have you ever picked up a rock the size of a football and felt the weight? There's no way a human being could throw a rock that size, that far, and that high. Immediately after Tony said the thing about the bears can't throw rocks, we heard a deep guttural huff type noise come from the woods where we were looking. It sounded like a large bull letting out an abrupt sigh. Something large with big lungs. As soon as we heard this, we both took off running for the houseboat. We didn't even think about jumping in the boat that was right beside us. We ran down the bank full speed in the dark, our feet jumping across the tops of large boulders, like ninjas on a kung fu movie. Skinny teenage boys can run very fast, especially when they're terrified. When I think back on it, if one of us was to have fallen, we would have probably been hurt very badly. We would have probably broken some bones. When we did make it the 200 or so yards back to the houseboat, the makeshift gangplank was pulled up for the night. Well, that didn't stop us in the least. We dove up onto the edge of the houseboat, our feet splashing through the water and scampering up onto the bow of the boat. We practically broke the sliding glass door as we went into the houseboat. We found everyone asleep, but our noisiness was waking everyone up. At first, they were not happy, but then they realized we were in a panic. I think the fact that everyone was still on the boat made us truly know that it wasn't one of them trying to scare us. It made our state of panic even higher. After a moment, we were finally able to explain to them what happened to us. My dad and uncles were having a hard time believing us and said that we were just imagining things and it was just fish jumping or a moose or a deer in the woods. My grandfather, on the other hand, said nothing. He walked out on the deck of the boat, pulled up the 2 anchors, started the engines on the houseboat, and backed it off of the beach about 150 yards out into the lake. Then he cut the engines and re-anchored the boat. And I can tell you the reason my grandfather did this later in my story, but about half an hour later, everyone had fallen back to sleep, and I was in my bunk high up close to the ceiling in front of the houseboat. I had a tiny long rectangle of a window exactly beside my lofted fold-out bunk. I laid there staring out into the night, and I could see the beach and the land bridge and part of the island being backlit by the moon. I could see a slight mist around the rocks and cattails that were growing in on the land bridge. There were also many sapling trees that were not much taller than a man scattered amongst them. I was almost becoming more relaxed, and then I saw it. I really saw it. I stopped breathing. My stomach shrank, and I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. The silhouette of a large figure, upright with shoulders and just a bump for a head. It walked across the land bridge on the opposite side of the beach, I guess trying to stay out of sight from the houseboat. I could see it from the waist up. The cattails that came up to my chin were only up to this thing's waist. The sapling trees came up to just below its shoulders. And at one point, I saw what looked like an arm reach out and push aside one of the larger sapling trees as it lumbered across the entire length of the land bridge. And then it disappeared into the darkness, into the main forest. I never told anyone what I saw. I don't know why, I just didn't. I believe I did fall asleep for just a little while. The next morning, when I woke up, I felt weak and sickly, and I don't want to leave the boat, but my dad said that we had to go get that stuff you left on the other side of the island. Tony, both my uncles, and my dad and I walked the same path that me and my cousin had made that terrifying night the night before. I don't think I looked into the woods one time. When we got there, we had been doing our night fishing. Nothing was disturbed. Nothing was missing. Nothing was broke. Our fishing poles were laying exactly where we dropped them, and the lantern had run out of fuel. However, there was one thing. There were no fish in the little pool that we had dug. There were no bones or scales around the hole. Like some predator must have just stopped there and ate them. They were just gone. For the rest of this fishing vacation, I pretty much stayed on the boats and fished. And when I did get off the boats, I didn't go into the woods or even look at the woods. One of these days later in our vacation, my grandpa pulled me aside and told me a story. He said there was a time that he was fishing in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, on a large lake, and they had pulled their boat up to where they could see some abandoned cabins. And they said the cabins looked fairly new, but they looked abandoned, with broken windows and overgrown brush and half sunken dock. Oh, I think you forgot a K there, like a dock on a river. Okay. He told me they were about 100 yards out into the water fishing when rocks the size of baseballs started splashing in the water all around their boat. He said the rocks were big enough that they could have killed someone. When they turned to look where the rocks were coming from, he said that they were coming from the trees and brush around the cabins. They couldn't see what was throwing them, but they could see them coming towards them and splashing all around them. He said it was a lot of rocks, and they had to quickly start their motors and run their boats further out into the lake. He told me that he didn't know how a person could throw a rock the size of a baseball 100 yards And then he told me that was why I pulled up the houseboat off the beach the other night. My cousin will acknowledge that this happened to us, but he won't talk about it or tell this story. Whenever the subject of Bigfoot comes up in any conversation, or if I'm asked if I believe there is such a thing as Sasquatch, I say yes. I think there probably is, and I tell them this story. I couldn't see any detail in the figure I saw that night through my tiny window. I could only see it silhouetted by the moonlight, through the mist from about 150 yards away. But I believe it was a Bigfoot. Wow. That was a pretty amazing story. That's incredible. Huh. And a pretty long story, but very well written. And it really brings you into the experience. Wow. What did I do? Me too, Brent. You too, Brent? What? What about me? Spaced Out Radio. Oh, yeah, Dave. Dave's going to be on. Dave Scott, ladies and gentlemen. You can go hang out with Mr. Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio. I'll probably swing over there and say hello. Well, Mr. Michigan Rob, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. It was great to see you too, brother. And it was great to finally meet you. So I just wish we would have had more time to visit and stuff, but it's kind of the nature of the conference animal. But that's going to wrap it up for me tonight, guys. I hope you had a good time. Sorry we didn't do shows for so long, but I was so sick that 1 week I had in between the conferences. I could only squeeze out one show, and if you listen to that show, it was not fun. It was not fun, but anyway, I'm back, you're back, we're back, and the portal's back in action. So I'll be back on Friday night. I hope you guys will join me, and we'll dive into the portal once again. Should have Sheldon with me, but we'll see if that'll work out for him. But that's all I got for you tonight. So until Friday, you guys take care. Remember, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Great to see you all. And you're all good, Brent. Thanks, T-Bone. I appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it. You guys have a great night. I'll see you Friday night. We'll dive back into it again. Until then, be good.